This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today we're taking a look at the Gaia RDTA from Cthulhu Mods. It comes in this beautiful box. I mean, that's luxurious is what it is. It's brown canvas on light brown canvas, and it's got wood hardware and this little sort of hair tie kind of rubber band over here to seal it all together. On the back, you've got some information about the device and whatnot. I feel like this device is kind of like Cthulhu's answer to the Pindad RDTA. You know, it's got kind of that same look and feel about it. It has the velocity style deck. Mainly it has the gasket down the middle where you can fill your juice right down the middle in the deck. And it also kind of harkens to the Triad RDTA from Asmodeus, where inside the extension within the tank, it had like these little holes that kind of funneled the juice out into the tank, so it came in between the wicking there. It has that too. So it's kind of combining these elements of a bunch of different devices here, mainly the Pindad, the Triad, and the velocity. The airflow is a lot like the velocity. The airflow system, you kind of spin it like you did with the velocity to open up that side airflow, and it's got, it spins all the way off and you can spin it back on. And overall, I feel like it's pretty clean with the threads. I feel like there are times, like now, especially when I take it all the way off, where it's kind of hard to get it back together. I feel like the threads could have been done just a little bit better there. They're not terrible, and once it's together, once you get it, screwing back together, it works pretty well. But once you have the top cap down on top of the deck, it moves very freely, and it does it without actually having a locking mechanism between the deck and the outer barrel of the top cap, which I think is kind of cool. The velocity, they had that locking ring there, so you couldn't really move the airflow one way or the other if you wanted to center it on the coils or move it adjacent to the coils or whatever. This one you can. And it's important because it has bottom airflow too. And the bottom airflow is fully adjustable. You can turn that left, turn that right. Now if I turn it to the left, what happens is, it definitely does start to unscrew the addy from, the mod, but it's kind of a given. As long as I move toward the right, it really doesn't do that at all. And it's kind of cool the way that they did it with the bottom airflow. The bottom airflow, it's kind of in this sort of a teardrop kind of shape. And then, you can turn the top cap to close it off or open it up against that teardrop. It's kind of cool the way that they accomplished it. It looks very elegant. It doesn't look like, it just looks pretty the way that they did it. Everything about the device kind of looks pretty. I really like the ultem drip tip that it comes with. There's something about ultem drip tips, man. I just really like ultem drip tips. Don't ask me why. And also the entire device is completely barren of any logos or anything except on the bottom of the device. The bottom of the device, it does say Gaia RDTA and it's serialized. I've got number 892. That's the only place where you have any sort of branding or anything on the actual device, and I love that because it just looks so clean. Everything about it looks so clean. From that gentle swoop just underneath the drip tip where it comes over the barrel, top cap like that, to how when you close it all completely up, it creates just this seam, this rounded seam, not a rough seam or a sudden seam. It closes down completely that side airflow when you want it to. I like that a lot too. And back to that teardrop shape that you have with the bottom airflow. Everything is machined very nicely. There's not a whole lot of burrs or scratches. In addition to the branding on the bottom of the device, there's also your positive pin, of course. And your positive pin, you can actually remove it and replace it with a squonk pin. So if you have yourself a squonk mod, and I guess, filling through the gasket in the middle of the deck doesn't suit you for whatever reason, though I actually really like it. I think it works really well. I really like that system of filling down the middle of the device without having to mess around with moving the wicks around or without having to, turn, pull something out and push something in. It just gets kind of messy in the end. But this is actually pretty nice. I like the concept a lot. I wish that the gasket, the little hole in the middle, was a little bit wider. That would be nice. There are also like these two little pinholes on the top of the deck. I can't really decide if those pinholes on the top of the deck are for the juice flow when you're filling it up so that it doesn't come out the wicking holes too badly, or if it's so that you can, drape your wicks down further into the tank to allow you to not have to cut them so short and tip it and turn it, which I do anyway. It's just kind of a habit with RDTAs for me. I don't like wicking too far down into the tank. I just kind of like cutting them short and sort of turning the device when I need to resaturate. Just my style of vaping, I guess. But that hole in the middle, I kind of wish that was a little bit wider. It's not really super skinny. Unicorn bottles will work great in here, no problem. But dripper bottles, they work, but I feel like the higher VG juices, they do have a tendency to sort of bubble out and over the deck. That gets kind of annoying. I wish that, it was a little bit bigger on those holes, whether it's the hole in the middle or whether it's little pinholes on the side. Something needs to be a little bit bigger so that the very high VG juices can get in there no problem without causing everything to sort of bubble out. I also wish I hadn't built this device quite so low. I've got a dual coil build in here. They are Mohawk Aliens. It's delicious, man. Excellent flavor. And what I like it most, honestly, is when it's the bottom airflow. I really like the bottom airflow on this. It just creates this really nice, flavorful vape. And I haven't had too much of an issue with leaking. Not through these holes anyway, except when I'm filling it. But the bottom airflow on an RDTA is really nice because, you know, it kind of controls how much juice is getting in on that deck because you're not dripping down into it quite as often. You've got it coming from the tank. And if you put it on a squonk mod, it's going to be even less. It's going to be really great for something like that. With the side airflow, I like that they use the velocity style system. I feel like that's kind of been underused. Not a whole lot of people use that velocity style airflow system where you turn that top of the top cap and it sort of separates from the rest of the top cap. I like that. It's an interesting system. But, you know, same thing I had with the velocity. Something about it, you know, I always found like I never liked the flavor out of it. I know, stone him, crucifixions. I was never crazy about the flavor on the velocity. And I'm not crazy about the flavor on this either when I open up that side airflow. I'm just not big on it. If you like the velocity, you'll like it because it vapes just like that. I just never cared for it that much, to be honest with you. But the bottom airflow is a really nice touch. And you can close that off completely if you want to and just have the side airflow, which kind of cocks it to the side of the coil a bit. It's going to hit it at a bit of an angle. So I don't know how I'll like that. I don't think I've tried it. It's okay, but I really like it with just the bottom airflow. So bottom airflow and top airflow, well, side airflow, I guess. I get good clouds. You know, you can open it really wide open. I did it again. There it goes. I really worry about cross-threading if I open it up too much. But don't open it up too much. You don't have nothing to worry about. All right. All the way open. Yeah, I can blow some massive clouds, but I don't get any flavor. I don't get any flavor that way. I just don't care for it. Don't care for it. I really like it on the bottom airflow. Really nice flavor, really thick, sumptuous clouds that way. Now, I wish I hadn't put this particular build in here though, because, well, a couple things. One, it ohms out right between 0.1 and 0.09, so if it falls below the 0.1 and goes to the 0.09, then the Relo won't fire it, because that's really annoying and I hate that. I feel like the Relo should fire below 0.1 ohms. I feel like it should fire down to 0.5. That's just me. I mean, that's the Relo. But this device, it also gets really hot. It's really hot. The ultem drip tip, really hot. When you're vaping at above 150. 150 and below, you're fine. But this particular build being at 0.1 ohms, I have to turn it up. If I wanted 4.2 volts, like it was a full charge on the batteries, you know, then it's way too hot. Like this thing burns, but yeah, it kind of burns the lips. I turn this thing down usually around 150 or so, so it's hitting at like 3.9 volts or so. So I'm kind of pussyfooting around on it a little bit, but right around there, it's not hot in the lips. It's a really nice, warm, wet, flavorful vape. I do get spit back at times on this device, but I feel like that's mostly when I'm, you know, because the way that I like to wick, I don't wick too far down into the tank. No more than about halfway. You know, really I try to keep it below halfway into the tank, just the way I like to wick Jennies. When I'm turning it, you know, I end up getting some juice, but I feel like it would work better with this particular device if I wick down into the tank a little bit more. And I think that's attributed to the two little holes that are poked into the top of the deck. I think that will work better for you if you try wicking this one down a bit further into the tank. But those Mohawks, they make for a really nice, flavorful, tasty vape in this device. Yeah, I have very little to complain about with the Gaia RDTA. I really like all the features and functions, the extras it comes with, the drip tip adapter being white, it has a bit of a platform to it. The ultem drip tip is what I've been using mainly. The squonk pin is a nice addition. The gasket filling down the middle, I really like that. I want to see more devices do that because I think it's a really smart idea. The overall cleanliness of the device is really nice. Overall, I think it's a really nice effort from Cthulhu. There's a lot to like about this device with the different features and the functions and how it all comes together and the clean look overall. Anyway, till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.